Long Walk and Downton Abbey The Grande Finale live movie review. Welcome to Mirror Domains, and this is my live stream for The Long Walk and Downton Abbey The Grande Finale movie reviews. And guys, I saw these movies yesterday, and I'm going to do my full reviews here now on the live stream. They'll be cut up and put up on the separate channel, the reviews channel. And if you want to interact with me for some live comments, I'll turn on the live comments after I'm done my quick little review. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit concise. I've tried to write up a little bit of a script for this, so I don't know if it's going to work or if it's not, but it is what it is. I'm trying to keep it a little bit more contained and condensed so that I'm just not rambling on and on, but it'll still be the same format. We'll go into like my score sheet and everything like that. So that being said, let's start off with Downton Abbey and talk about this movie because I liked it. Okay, so that being said, Downton Abbey The Grande Finale movie review. Guys, welcome to Mirror Domains, and indeed, as a film buff, I tend to approach the TV to film continuations with a raised eyebrow. No, is that what I want to say? that doesn't sound right. With some skepticism. Am I going to reset that? Yes. This is one of the advantages of doing this live. Because I can, right? Downton Abbey returns on the big screen with Downton Abbey 3, Downton Abbey The Grande Finale. As a film buff, I tend to approach these TV to film continuations with a bit of skepticism. Too often they're stretched out specials masquerading as cinemas, kind of like an extended long episode, right? But Downton Abbey 3 manages to justify its place on the big screen, blending sweeping production designs, refined performances, and just enough sentimentality to leave longtime fans misty-eyed. And indeed, it's kind of like a love letter, right? To the series. If you were a fan of the series, there's going to be a lot of meat for you to chew on and sink your teeth into. The synopsis on IMDb reads, when Mary finds herself in a public scandal and the family faces financial trouble, the household grapples with the threat of social disgrace. The Crawleys must embrace change, with the next generation leading Downton Abbey into the future. And if you saw the trailers for this, you've kind of got the impression that this, well, indeed was going to be the final chapter, but it was going to end in such a way where everybody was going to have to move out of the Abbey, right? Out of Downton. And it's not really about that kind of. It's paying homage to everything that happened in the series, and it does close off in such a way that this could be like the definitive end. Like they're saying that it is. But it's also kind of left the door open for possibly just a bit more. The film, directed with, I would say, reasonable care here. Simon Curtis, he did a good job of the technical aspects, developing the characters. The pacing was just good for me. Now, this is the third movie in the franchise, right? So if you haven't watched the first two, it opens up with a little bit of a synopsis of the second movie. So it does try to catch people up. And if you are not that big of a fan, then you might struggle, but then why are you watching the third movie in the series, right? That's the way that I looked at it. It was cool seeing everybody back again. I saw it in a big theater with a whole bunch of other fans, and I would say try to see it like that because there's some winks and nods to things that you liked about the series, and it was just cool to see them move into this kind of final chapter of everything. Okay, so you got the impression that I liked it? And let's go over to the score sheet and start filling in some numbers for Downton Abbey, the Grande Finale, before we go over to the tomato meter and take a look at what's going on with that. Acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points each. Cinematography and score are out of 1 point. Acting overall is serviceable. Now, is there anything great and grand in this? Well, Mary is always really good in this. Paul Giamatti comes on, pretty good in this one. Like the entire cast, the one thing that Downton has always had in its favor was that it had this ensemble. So if somebody was not front and center, there was always these supporting characters around them to be like, oh yeah. And you got to develop those characters by watching and having this full series. Directing, as I said, was competent. I don't know if I would say that it was great, but I reserve the right to come back and talk about that in just a second. Story, it served the movie, but it was also touching at the end because they did do a sequence where they paid homage to the series. You get to see some returning characters that you in flashback form that you didn't really expect to see them reference in this movie. It didn't feel as grandiose as, say, the New Era movie, where they had like film sets and they went over to the French Riviera and stuff like that. It didn't feel as grand as that, but it still felt like Downton Abbey. That's the way I would say it. Cinematography, it's always been really good. I'm going to give a full point to that. The score, serviceable. That's like the soundtrack. So we're sitting at 5.5 right now. And I do reserve the right to come back to the directing. But I kind of do want to go over to the tomato meter here and see where we're sitting now for Downton Abbey, the grand finale. And 90% by critics, 96% by the audience. And this means that it's universally liked. And as you saw in my opening, I liked it. I had fun with this. And I don't know if I can come up that high. I mean, this is it's a good film. I really enjoyed it, but it's niche, right? In the sense that it's making a lot of references to material that has come before it. If you were sitting there and watching it without anything like some back knowledge, you might find some trouble with it. Let's go over to the critics here and see what people are saying. The grand finale goes out not with a bang, but also with not a whimper, but rather a polite wave goodbye. And yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Like, it does leave it open for maybe more story to tell, just not with this cast, not with the Downton Abbey cast. Like, I would totally go on and watch a series with the sisters up front, because they come to the front in this one. And I'm like, okay, do we need the rest of this cast here? Because I would watch Mary and Edith in a series, continue on, trying to honor their family legacy. That's the way that I would say. Going back to the critics here, returning director Simon Curtis still doesn't solve the television pacing and plotting problem of making a 2-hour film that doesn't feel like episodes tacked together, but at least gives each of the extensive beloved cast an arc and some closure. Yeah, they do that for sure. Some of the fans here, 5 out of 5. So yeah, we see from the score here, 96%, there's going to be very few people that won't like this because it's got that core base, right? Movie was a wonderful way to end a 15-year series. Michelle Dockery was radiant in her gown. A beautiful tribute to the families at Downton Abbey. Yeah, indeed. For both the upstairs and the downstairs part of the manor. So sad to see the story is over. Is it though? Let's go over to some people who didn't like it. The Times UK. The film, directed by Simon Curtis, climaxes with a scene that is simultaneously grossly saccharine and deeply cynical, and is effectively a roll call to everyone unlucky enough to be cast in a long-running creepy class fantasy. What? See, now you're just exposing your bias with that, right? So we'll look at that one and kind of disregard it. I wanted some critique about the pacing or the story structure. London Evening Standard. It is an overstuffed sofa of a film, so plush you sink into it, and fear you may never escape its soporific pull. Soporific pull. So you see that some people they're trying to grasp at straws for this, but they are not really articulating exactly what it is that's bugging about them. They just don't like the pomp, I guess. The agnostic, meanwhile, can go back to pondering the puzzling appeal of the phenomenon predicated on giving us a glimpse into such a bland and boring world, was it? So like that, see, that reeks like somebody who he didn't care about it even before he went to see it. That almost sounds like somebody who is just a journalist hired to cover the movie, right? Not somebody who's a fan of this series like me, but I'm going to try to give it to you guys as straight as I can when it comes to the film's execution of the story. It does meander on a little bit in the last part of the film, but again, they're closing off storylines here with this. It's kind of like, okay, this is the last scene with this character. This is the last scene with them. They're going to say goodbye. They're going to actually wrap things up, and they do it really well. They do it well enough where it's kind of like, I appreciate what they're doing. And I appreciate that this cast got a chance to come out and do this closing chapter to this story. I thought it was good. And if you're a fan of certain characters, like Thomas or something, then you might be a little bit let down that they're not in the forefront, because, as I said, it's really the sisters that are in the forefront here in this one. And I got no problem with that, because I feel like if you were going to try to maybe continue this story in some fashion, it would be those two, and I would fully be on board with that. So let's go over to my score sheet again and wrap things up here for Downton Abbey, the Grand Finale, and look at the watchability factor. That's out of a possible 2 points each. If you are a fan of the series, you will want to check this out at least once in the theater. And if you just like this cast, you will want to watch it again. That's bumping us up to 7 out of 10. And I think I will go back to directing and bump that up to 1.5, because just the way that if the sentimentality was a little too much at the end, because they were dancing on that line of it becoming cheese, like, and really over the top sentimental of like, okay, now we're saying goodbye. And it was edited in such a way that, okay, we're moving quick enough through it that we're not lingering on it, and it's not becoming sappy. It's not becoming sappy. This, it's a way to say goodbye in a good, proper way, as one of the other critics articulated. 7.5 out of 10 for Downton Abbey. And no, I'm going to give a full point to the score as well, because when the score actually comes on, the familiar themes that we recognize, it's thumbs up. And actually, Downton Abbey, the Grand Finale, is something that I would have in my catalog. I could easily give full 2 points for watchability factor, but 8 out of 10 seems about right for me. Seems just. What do you guys think? Downton Abbey, the Grand Finale, did you see it in theaters? Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, and we will talk about it. All right, if you like this kind of thing, guys, also in theaters, we have The Long Walk, and from Stephen King and director Francis Lawrence of the Hunger Games movies. Kids have to walk until the last one is standing. We'll see how that goes. Let me know what you thought about these movies in the comments below, and we will talk about it. You're watching Mirror Domains. All right. I think that worked out pretty well, didn't it? My, I wasn't as smooth transitioning through some of the slides, but whatever. It is what it is. All right. Well, Chris, we're about to get into The Long Walk right now. The Long Walk, and this is going to be an interesting thing to negotiate, because The Long Walk was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. It is. All right. And it's going to be, I don't want to let people down with my review here. All right. The Long Walk, adapted from a Stephen King novel, is in theaters this weekend, and if patience is a virtue, The Long Walk is practically sainthood on film. Sitting at a mighty, what is it, 98% on the tomato meter, 90% on the tomato meter. Wow. 86 by the audience. That's some pretty good ratings for The Long Walk. People have seemed to respond to this film. But for me, I would say that it's about, while it's a really good film, it's about 98% good. This movie is a testament to how far great acting can carry a story, because it's basically all acting as this story pans out. So, even if the premise occasionally stops to tie its shoes, as some do, it forgets why it left the house in the first place, meaning that these kids sign up for this long walk to inspire the nation. But if you slow down and you can't keep up, you get terminated. And it's a story from Stephen King, so you know that it's going to be edgy, and it is. And it suffers a little bit, I would say, from the runtime. The runtime in this is just an hour and 48 minutes. And the synopsis on the IMDb reads, a group of teenage boys compete in an annual contest known as the Long Walk, where they must maintain a certain walking speed or get shot. But then the last one standing gets a wish and a whole bunch of money, kind of thing, right? So right from the beginning, the performances grab you, the leads commit hard to this, and if you don't buy them, then you're not going to be on board here. Cooper Hoffman is the main character that we follow here, but it's supplemented here by David Johnson, who's just phenomenal in this film. And if you don't know who David Johnson, or you don't recognize him, he was in Alien Romulus last year. But it's clear from this movie, this guy is going to be a big star. He's just got that it factor. He truly is the standout. And if you like that Karate Kid movie that came out this year, Ben Wang is also in this. So they try to lean in on the ensemble part of this film, but I feel like it's trying to give you a message about something, all right? About in human standards in times of direness, right? Bleakness. And you definitely see that in the trailers of why these people are doing this. Like they want to give money to their families, or they want to inspire people. But some of them are not reacting all that well to what's going on. Mark Hamill comes in as kind of like the marshal here, the general that's leading all of the kids down the road and administering the punishment if they step out of line, kind of thing. And the movie does ask you to make that leap of faith of disbelief, right? The suspension of disbelief here. And for me, this is about the 2% here that I'm talking about, where the film kind of, it stretches it a little bit. Because as humans, okay, we can stay awake for a while, but after being awake for a while, like I think it is after at least 40 hours, your brain starts to shut down anyway and starts to go to sleep. And your eyes will still be awake, but your brain just shuts off and goes to sleep. I wish the movie spent a little bit more time dealing with that kind of thing. It's kind of like, people are just falling because they're tired. Or, they got to take a number 2. Right? It does address those issues, like what do you got to do when you go to the bathroom, kind of thing. But then it's kind of like people just have enough of it. And do you really believe that people can walk hundreds and hundreds of miles without stopping? I wanted to see a little bit more fatigue on them. Like your face would look like it's super tired. And it's not tired on some of them until it's like 300 miles. And it's like, really? Really? So it's just minor things like that, right? Minor things like that. And then for me, closing the loop on the story, the conclusion rubbed me a bit of the wrong way. I was not happy with the conclusion of this. And it's going to work for some. This is a tragic story because right from the get-go, you know that these kids know exactly what they're signing up for. They know that they're leaving their families behind. They know that if they can't keep up, they're going to get shot, right? They know this. So you know that if there's only going to be one standing at the end, it's going to be a grim finale. and it's going to work for some, but it's not going to be for others. It's kind of like a story of, well, who's going to last? Who's going to be the next one to fall, kind of thing. And they kind of echo that in the movie. All right, let's go over to my score sheet here and start filling out some numbers for The Long Walk before we go over to the tomato meter and take a look at some of the critics' reviews. Acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points each. Cinematography and score are out of, well, 1 point each. And I gotta say, acting is good. The acting is phenomenal in this, and from the two actors in the front there, I'm going to give it a full 1.5, and I reserve the right to give it a full 2 points because of the ensemble. And in fact, I think I will. I'm going to give it a full 2 points because of that ensemble cast. Like they're struggling to keep each other awake. They help each other when they're falling down and stuff like that. But I felt at times like some of them were maybe a little too hammy. That's fine. Directing, Francis Lawrence, who did the Hunger Games movies. I'm going to give it right down the middle for the directing because the technical aspects are done fairly well, and I'm happy that this director was a big fan of the shaky cam stuff. And you watch his Hunger Games movies, it's shaky cam, shaky cam, shaky cam. In this, they're giving us a lot of wide shots of them walking through various different backgrounds, roads, and stuff like that. It's smooth. You believe that, oh yeah, the countryside's, it's tangible. That's right. It's tangible, and the death that haunts them is tangible. So the technical aspects on this are fairly well executed by the director, but it comes down to the story. And if you don't buy into these characters and you don't say, okay, I like this character, I'm rooting for this character, then it may not work for you, because the premise is a great premise. It's a premise that's really curious. It grabs your curiosity right off the bat, kind of like the way that Weapons did, right? Like, what happened to all these kids in the middle of the night? Well, how are these kids going to survive this big, long walk kind of thing, right? Who's going to be the last one standing? It's always gripping you on the next turn as to, okay, who's going to be next? Please not this character. Please not this character kind of thing, right? So if you don't buy into that, then you're not going to be on board for it. But if you can, I think the story had a really good chance to deliver something to us that was really cool. And as I said, that ending moment, like the person who wins and stuff, I felt like it undermined what they were trying to set up. And for me, it didn't work. And for a lot of people, it may work because it's a story, I guess, of, yes, tragedy, right? 1.5 for the story. Directing, I may come back to. Cinematography, I'm going to give a full 2 points too, because how do you make these kids just walking on a road interesting? And it pays off because of those grand wide shots of them walking through territories and stuff like that. It just felt otherworldly at times, even though that you would see a train coming down the mountainside and stuff like that in the background. It felt post-apocalyptic, even though it wasn't. You were seeing green fields, big cornfields and stuff like that. It just felt they were able to sell that kind of direness of the society, right? And without us actually seeing what was actually happening with the rest of society. So I felt like that was fairly well done, and a lot of that had to do with the cinematography to set the tone for it. The score, for me, was serviceable. So we're sitting at a 6 out of 10 right now without the watchability factor. Let's go over to the tomato meter and see what people are saying about The Long Walk. And, well, as we saw, 90% by critics, 86% by the audience. But let's go down to the critics here and see what they're saying. So somebody who didn't like it, 2 points out of 5 from the Daily Telegraph. It's not that the film doesn't work. Indeed, parts are rather good. Yes, they are. But that it ultimately and fundamentally can't, given what it actually is. What? What are you talking about? All right. Washington Post, The Long Walk, the long talk is more like it. Yeah, guys. Guys, if you're thinking like this is going to be a big actioner, something that's going to be like a big action set piece. No. Or if you think that it's going to be maybe a little bit like Stand By Me, another Stephen King adaptation of these kids walking to see a body. This one's just these kids walking to try to stay alive. They're not going to cut away to politicians talking about the situation and give us some irrelevant information. They try to give us hints of what the society's like. But for the most part, you look at it, it looks like a period piece of some kind. Like, look at the cars on the street. It feeds your curiosity fairly well. Like, okay, well, why isn't the rest of the road working? Where are the rest of the cars? I don't see people in the fields, kind of thing, right? Because economically, the society around them had kind of like is crumbling. They need to inspire people, and one of the ways that they inspire people is by participating in this long walk. I'm not a big fan of that. Let's go down to the audience and see what the audience are saying. The struggle, the pain, the sacrifice, the survivor, great movie. So there you go. If that's what you want to see, who's the survivor at the end, then this movie will work for you. The movie is a roller coaster of emotions that will never end, a truly masterpiece. Okay, I want to see a fan who didn't like it. Very strong emotion, amazing, looked expected ending. Expected ending? I don't know. Let's go over to the critics here and take a look at what Perry Nemiroff wrote, because I'm a big fan of hers. And I trust her judgment. One of the things I found most remarkable about the movie is how it still manages to be soulful and have its heart firmly in the best possible place while wading into darkness. Well, yeah, we're going into some dark places because you're walking beside people that you want to have fall down and die. And then it does sort of deal with that kind of thing, right? Well, guys, there can only be one winner here. Who's going to be the first one to fall down? The Long Walk is the most heart-wrenching film you'll see this year. No, it's not the most heart-wrenching. There's definitely a lot more that I felt like was heart-wrenching. And Chris Schober in the live chat said Life of Chuck also had Mark Hamill in it. And I would say Life of Chuck is a little bit more heart-wrenching than this one. I'm just scrolling here to see if there's any other big reviews here that I wanted to see. In a crowded field of these types of stories, The Long Walk is happy to keep pace in middle of the pack before puttering out a little way from the finish line. And that's what I'm talking about, the ending there. See, now that's a good criticism to augment about what I'm talking about here, where it's going to work for some, but it's not going to work for everybody. And as I said, 98% of this film is it's really well done. I thought I saw Jeremy Johns on here, but I guess I don't want to spend too much time scrolling. Although, James, you could cut it out afterwards. I suppose I can, can't I? Bibiani. It's not that The Long Walk has made walking terrifying, although certainly it's a fraught and frightening walk. It's that it makes every trudge through every day remind us of torture. Yeah. And if I were to get blunt about the walking thing, guys, you're not walking 300 miles. You're just not. Have you not seen that video of normal people walking, and then that drunk guy comes up and says, you walk a certain distance after a certain day and you're not ready for it. You're not going to be strutting that ass. Strut that ass. Strut that. You must have heard that video, right? You're going to be half dead by even half the day. Like most of us, even over an hour, are going to tap out. Like our bodies, like if you're not training for it, you can't really do it. Now, that doesn't mean that these kids weren't training for it, but it does raise some questions like that of like, really, guys, really? Let's go back to the score sheet here and wrap my score sheet up for The Long Walk. Watchability factor, the premise, the hook alone, I think should be enough to get people intrigued and into the theaters. So that's a full point there. Is it worth watching again? Yes, because of the acting. And I think it is worth watching again to see how that ending sits with me after I digest it for a couple of days, right? Now, I think because I was talking about the pacing and how they set up the characters and stuff like that up till now, I'm going to go back to the directing, and I'll give it 1.5 there as well. And that puts us at 8 out of 10 for The Long Walk. And I think that's where it goes. I think that's where I would put The Long Walk. Because I kind of... It's not one where you want to watch it over and over again. Because it's bleak. It's definitely bleak, but it's worth watching for sure. 8 out of 10 for The Long Walk. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and we will talk about it. Hey, if you like this kind of thing, we just reacted and reviewed the Downton Abbey movie that's also out right now. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, and we will talk about it. You're watching Mirror Domains. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about spoilers here for The Long Walk, because I'm going to keep the spoilers on here on the live stream, but when it's clipped out and put up on the review channel, it won't have the spoilers on there. So if you haven't seen it yet, then you probably don't want to hear this for spoilers. There's really not much to spoil about the Downton Abbey movie, because, I mean, what do you expect? They sell the home and then that's it, right? Chris Schobert has joined us in live chat. Hey, James, my two most recent movies I'm looking forward to in 2026 are Scary Movie 6 and shortly Scream 7. Well, I'm curious about Scream 7, and I'll wait for the trailers for Scream 7 to see how that plays out. Is it better than the first two, James, for Downton Abbey? Well, they're all different stories. Same characters, but different situations and stuff like that. I like the second movie a lot. The second movie's fun. This one's more serious in tone of them having to move into the next chapter of their lives. So how was The Long Walk? Well, as I said, 98% was pretty good. The Long Walk is worth watching in the theater for sure. Have you seen The Life of Chuck? Yeah, Chris, it's my favorite movie of the year. So far, it still is. Nothing has come close yet to unseating The Life of Chuck. And I am going to be buying it on YouTube because I wanted to have it in my catalog. And I would get the 4K as well. And I think when I get it on YouTube, I'm going to do a full live reaction to it. I want to figure out a way that for me to do live reactions of movies on YouTube, but also then follow this script. So as you saw me do with these reviews, I had a little bit of a blurb there in the beginning that I had scripted, and then it tied into my rambling thoughts about the movie. Because what I want to do is have certain points in the movie that I want to articulate what I liked about it, how it impacts the rest of the film, and stuff like that. I want to be able to take pauses and look at how this sets up this next scene and stuff like that, which will be boring for some, but then I know others will just want to watch my reactions to certain scenes. And it's not going to hit me as hard as the first time I watched it, because the first time you watch Life of Chuck, it's just, what is this movie? This isn't really, we're talking about the apocalypse here, the end of days, and then you realize what's happening, and it's like, wow. Wow, and if you're a Mike Flanagan fan and you watched our Haunting of Bly Manor and the Fall of the House of Usher series reactions, then you'll know that I'm a big fan of this guy's work. So that being said, The Long Walk, spoilers. So they set up in the movie a certain storyline about vengeance. One of these characters has signed up for vengeance, and he wants to win so that he can take a gun and shoot the marshal or the general, played by Mark Hamill. And eventually he's talked down from that goal. He's saying, well, is that what life is all about? Your father really inspired you to live your life well, inspired you to make good choices, and if you get to the end, just to throw your life away, because once you shoot the bad guy, the rest of them are going to shoot you dead too, right? Do you really want this? Is this what you want to do with your life and for your wish? Is this what you want to have happen? And gets talked out of it. And he realizes, no, because I also would be committing the sin of what my father did, throwing my life away, kind of thing. And I don't want to be consumed by this vengeance, this drive that's making me want to win the long walk. And when it's carried out in the end, you realize you just spent like a good 40 minutes of the film preaching to us that vengeance isn't the answer, and now you're ending it with vengeance? And that's where it goes into, well, this story is ultimately about a tragedy. The tragedy of not being true to yourself. You have these ideals of how you want to live your life and the way that you want to be, but at the end of the day, your shortcomings, your character defects can come back to bite you. And that's what happens. The winner could go away and help. They made promises to help each other and their loved ones after, right? He could go and help the loved ones and accept the win, but he chooses vengeance. And for me, I didn't really like that, but it's very Shakespearean, which is really strange because I like Shakespeare. So as I said, maybe after a couple of days here, after I still let it digest a little bit, I'll come back to it and be like, I understand what they're doing. And maybe the 98% of it that I liked will turn into 100%, right? I wanted to go back to the audience reviews here and see what, if there was an audience member who didn't like it, I wanted to see their critique. Too much death, gore, and profanity, and too little relatable, engrossing dialogue or content. No, I don't agree with that. It's all dialogue and content. And I thought they gave enough from different perspectives for people to chew on there. At the end of the day, it's just a rehashed money grab. Rehashed? From what? Hunger Games? While the cast acted well with the subpar script they were given, the story, it just wasn't there. Boring, predictable, and what did I say? Boring. Hard pass to save your money. Yeah, guys, well, you got to realize that when you signed up for this, to watch this movie, if you bought your ticket and you're sitting in the theater, you're going to be watching 2 hours of people walking and talking. That's what it is. And that may not work for some people. So that being said, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about for spoilers. Let me know what you guys thought about this in the comments below, and we will talk about it. As I'm slowly transitioning into getting settled into my college curriculum, I'm figuring out where I've got enough time to do things, because I do want to do the live stream for movie news topics, but it's just it's just what day of the week kind of thing, right? We'll see how it fits. And I do want to get back into making the short movie news segments, because those were a lot of fun too. Maybe that's the way it'll be. And then at the end of the week, I'll do a live stream of movie reviews with people who join us in the live chat to talk about any movie topics that you want to talk about. Kind of like what Chris Schober here has asked here in the live comments. What's your recent movies are you looking forward to in 2026? Well, I guess it's Mortal Kombat 2. I was really looking forward to Mortal Kombat 2 next month, but that got pushed, which I was not a big fan of. I felt like they could have handled that better. As far as next year, let's pull up see what's 2026 schedule. Plague, Greenland 2, no. 28 years later, The Bone Temple. I'm curious about that one. I wasn't a big fan. Like, I enjoyed parts of. I liked the father-son part of the 28 years later, but that kind of got sidelined and we never went back to it. And it doesn't seem like we're going to go back to that storyline for The Bone Temple. Return to Silent Hill. I'm a big fan of the Silent Hill movie, guys. We did a reaction here on the channel. I'm looking forward to that. Even though yeah, they've had a tough time trying to get that realized. I can only imagine. Scream 7, February 27th. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that. Let's see what else. Super Mario Galaxy movie. Yeah, the title for that. Ready or Not, Here I Come. Ready or Not 2. Yeah, that one will be interesting. Devil Wears Prada 2. No. Mandalorian Grogu. I'm not really hyped, or I'm just kind of like, okay, it's here. We'll watch it. I'm not hyped for it at all, though. Masters of the Universe. I'm very intrigued about that. Even though I'm kind of like, please be good. Please be good. I'm not expecting it to be good. I'm expecting it to be a complete train wreck. Toy Story 5, nah. Scary Movie 6, okay. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, I am intrigued for. Mostly because of Millie Alcock. Because we know she's good from House of the Dragon. Moana live action, no. The Odyssey, I am a big Nolan fan. I really am. And it's going to be a spectacle. It really is. But I'm not excited. I'm not jumping out of my seat. It's kind of like the same way that I was for Oppenheimer. I really liked Oppenheimer on the big screen. I saw it on the big, huge screen. The seats were rumbling. It's good drama. I expect that from this movie. But it's not one that I've added to my catalog, like Inception, or The Dark Knight, or The Dark Knight Rises, or Batman Begins. It's not like that. Spider-Man Brand New Day, I'm curious about, because I want to see how it's going to pave the way to Avengers Doomsday, right? Clayface, I'm very interested in. Practical Magic 2, curious. Resident Evil, that's from Zach Krieger, the guy who just did Weapons, right? And Barbarian. His version of Resident Evil. So I like the Resident Evil property. I was one of them. Maybe I was the only one that liked the series, which had nothing to do with Resident Evil, but it was interesting. Chainsaw scene, that's all I'm going to say. Street Fighter, not really interested in. It doesn't seem like they understand the property at all. But I could be wrong. Hunger Games, Sunrise of the Reaping. Yeah. I liked the last spin-off one. Meet the Parents 4. Meh. Violent Night 2, no way. Avengers Doomsday. Really? Is that? Expected December 18th, 2026. Well, I'm curious about it. That's all I can say. I can't be hyped for it because I don't know who the Avengers are. At least going into Infinity War, we knew that the Avengers were going to be who they were going to be, right? And leading even into the first Avengers movie, we knew that the Avengers were going to be Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America, Black Widow, right? We knew that. But it's a toss-up right now as to who's going to be the Avengers. Could it be Shang-Chi? Maybe. Doesn't seem like it. We know that somehow the Fantastic Four is going to be in there. Yeah, it's just, but we'll see. All right, that's it for me today, guys. Let me know what you thought about some of these movies in the comments below, and we will talk about it. I'll see you next time, right here on Mirror Domains.